This is Windover Archaeological Site in Titusville, Florida. They actually, during road construction in the Windover development in 1982, construction worker discovered human remains.
In a quiet, unremarkable marsh in central Florida, construction workers uncovered something no one expected to find: human skeletons preserved for more than 8,000 years. In an environment where heat, moisture, and bacteria typically destroy organic material, the discovery raised an immediate and perplexing question. How could such remains survive so intact for millennia? What scientists ultimately uncovered was far more than a collection of bones. The site revealed a remarkable time capsule containing some of the oldest human DNA ever extracted in North America, as well as preserved brain tissue and ancient textiles. These findings challenged long-standing assumptions about prehistoric societies and significantly reshaped our understanding of the earliest inhabitants of the Americas. The discovery began in 1984, during what was expected to be a routine construction project. While clearing land for housing, a heavy equipment operator noticed something unusual in a small, dark, marshy pond. His machinery struck a dense, rounded object that did not resemble typical debris. Upon closer inspection, it proved to be a human skull, stained brown from prolonged submersion in peat. Initial reactions suggested the possibility of a recent death, perhaps even a crime. However, examination by a coroner quickly complicated that assumption. The skull's coloration and condition indicated it had been submerged not for weeks or months, but for centuries. This realization shifted attention away from law enforcement and toward archaeology. A specialist in skeletal remains was called in to investigate what was clearly a much older and more significant find. Upon arrival, researchers observed skeletal material emerging from the peat along the pond's edges. Additional skulls soon appeared, many with teeth showing unusual wear patterns consistent with their use as tools, a behavior associated with ancient populations. These early observations hinted at a prehistoric community that had lived and died in the area long before recorded history. Radiocarbon dating confirmed the extraordinary age of the remains, placing them between 7,000 and 8,000 years old. This timeline predates the Egyptian pyramids by several millennia and Stonehenge by thousands of years, making the site one of the oldest and most significant human burial grounds ever discovered in North America. Even experienced researchers found the scale and preservation of the site astonishing. Excavation presented immediate challenges. The remains had been preserved underwater in a peat bog, and exposure to air risked rapid deterioration. To address this, the research team developed an extensive system of pumps and wells to gradually lower the water level while maintaining the integrity of the site. Over the course of 2 years, they successfully drained the bog in a controlled manner, allowing careful excavation to proceed. As the water receded, the full scope of the site became apparent. What initially seemed like isolated remains was revealed to be a large, organized cemetery containing 168 individuals, including men, women, and children. Many of the bodies were positioned in fetal postures, suggesting intentional burial practices and the presence of ritual or ceremonial traditions. The burials spanned approximately 1,300 years, indicating that the location served as a sacred site for generations. This raised a series of important questions. Who were these people? How had they lived? And how had their remains survived in such a hostile climate? The answers lay in the unique properties of the peat bog itself. Peat forms from partially decomposed vegetation in wetland environments, creating a dense, oxygen-poor medium. This lack of oxygen inhibits the microorganisms responsible for decomposition. In most peat bogs, high acidity gradually dissolves bone, leaving only soft tissue. However, this site was chemically unusual. Its peat was neutral rather than acidic, allowing both skeletal structures and soft tissues to be preserved simultaneously. This rare combination of conditions effectively sealed the bodies from decay, transforming the bog into a natural preservation chamber. Without it, the remains would likely have disintegrated completely within a relatively short time after burial. Among the most extraordinary discoveries were preserved human brains. Some skulls were found to be heavier than expected, initially thought to contain accumulated sediment. However, imaging revealed intact internal structures. Careful extraction confirmed the presence of preserved brain tissue, reduced in size but retaining identifiable features such as folds and grooves. In total, 91 preserved brains were recovered, forming an unparalleled collection. This offered scientists a unique opportunity to study ancient human biology at an unprecedented level. The findings demonstrated that these individuals were anatomically and neurologically indistinguishable from modern humans, reinforcing the understanding that human cognitive capacity has remained largely unchanged for tens of thousands of years. The preservation of cellular structures also raised the possibility of recovering ancient DNA. This prospect was considered highly unlikely due to Florida's warm, humid climate, which typically accelerates DNA degradation. Nevertheless, researchers proceeded with cautious experimentation. Using specialized techniques, they extracted and analyzed genetic material from the preserved tissues. Against expectations, viable human DNA was recovered. Rigorous testing ruled out contamination, confirming that the genetic material was authentic and ancient. Analysis revealed that the individuals belonged to a lineage directly connected to modern Native American populations. Their genetic markers aligned with those found in indigenous groups across the Americas, demonstrating a continuous ancestral link spanning thousands of years. This finding helped dispel earlier theories suggesting population replacement or discontinuity in prehistoric North America. The DNA also provided insights into physical characteristics, indicating that these individuals likely had dark hair, dark eyes, and dark skin, traits consistent with many indigenous populations today. These results reinforce the continuity between ancient and modern peoples of the Americas. Beyond genetics, the site offered valuable insights into daily life and culture. Isotope analysis indicated that the community was mobile, moving across the region to access resources. Despite this mobility, they consistently returned to the same burial site, underscoring its cultural and spiritual significance. Artifacts found with the remains included tools, ornaments, and woven textiles. The textiles, in particular, were remarkable, representing some of the oldest known examples in the Americas. Their complexity suggested a level of technological and cultural development not typically associated with early hunter-gatherer societies. Evidence also pointed to social structure and care within the community. One individual with a severe physical disability had survived into adolescence, implying that others provided long-term support. This indicated compassion and social cohesion within the group. At the same time, the site revealed evidence of violence. One individual showed signs of multiple injuries, including a spear wound and indications of deliberate decapitation. These findings suggest that interpersonal conflict existed alongside cooperation and care, reflecting the complexity of human societies. Taken together, the discoveries at this site provide a deeply nuanced picture of an ancient community. These were not primitive or isolated individuals, but fully modern humans with established traditions, social bonds, and cultural practices. They cared for their vulnerable, honored their dead, and maintained a strong sense of identity over many generations. The site continues to shape scientific understanding in profound ways. It demonstrated that DNA can survive in environments previously considered unsuitable for preservation, opening new avenues for research. It also highlighted the depth and continuity of Native American ancestry, connecting present-day populations to their ancient predecessors. Ultimately, this extraordinary discovery transformed a routine construction project into one of the most important archaeological finds in North America. The marsh preserved not only bodies, but stories of life, death, community, and identity, offering a rare and powerful window into humanity's distant past. Amazing. Discoveries. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Share this video with friends and join the discussion on what these findings could mean. Your thoughts and questions are important, so let's explore incredible mysteries together.